So some people call me a productivity junkie. Like my best friend says that productivity is my superpower. And yet I still always feel like there are more ways I could get things done. And so I asked on Instagram and I asked here on YouTube, hey, if I made a video around the 5 most popular productivity methods and put them to the test, would you watch? And you said yes, because while I do follow some of these things, I realized I've kind of gotten in bad habits. I'm not keeping up with things as much as I'd like. And frankly, some of these very famous productivity methods, styles, etc., I don't think I've ever fully utilized. So, over 5 days, I put 5 methods to the test. One is the Eisenhower method, get things done, eat that frog, time blocking, and then Kanban. So I will explain what each of those are as we go through them, but let's head over to day 1 where I do the Eisenhower method. Today is the Eisenhower technique, so let me show you what I did and what I've gotten done so far. So this is my list for the day. So the way to do this, and this honestly might work better for a week, is you have important, urgent, not urgent. So if it's important, urgent, to do it. If it's not urgent but important, this is the list that keeps getting put off. That's actually the most important stuff. You need to schedule it. This is a lot of my, and these are things that I actually have to do today. I will say these 2 categories were kind of blank at first because when you do this, the Eisenhower full method, you are supposed to make this one let you delegate. I don't have anyone to delegate to. And this is just delete. It's like, I don't need to delete these, but I do need to do them at some point. So trying to tackle these. First, then I wrote out my daily list and put them on the back. And now I'm working through that. Good morning. Okay, so it is Tuesday. Yesterday was Memorial Day. I did the Eisenhower method. This is how far I got, you guys. This one doesn't really work for me. Now, granted, it was Memorial Day. I did go sit by a pool for part of it. I didn't work all day long, but it's just, there's stuff that's technically it's urgent, but it's not really that urgent. I don't know. The Eisenhower method so far, my thought of doing the visual is more of helping you prioritize, but it doesn't help you get stuff done. So speaking of getting things done, that's today's method, the GTD method. This is an OG. This has been around forever. I thought I knew it, and then I watched some videos on it, and it's ridiculously complicated. And I'm a person who likes minutia and will deal with all of that. And I'm there's how many folders and there's how much you have to do. So I'm going to take the basics of it. So first up is capture, and you have to just write down literally everything, big, small, anything in your head, anything in your, I'm pointing that way to my computer that's up there, I'm sitting on the floor, anything that's in your emails, text you have to get back to, everything, and write it down. Now I started this last night. I have other things to add to it, and then we organize it. So I'm going to do that part now. Okay, so this list is literally just everything captured, big and small. And then he puts those things into areas. You have to organize them and go, is it actionable? Yes. Is there more than one action? What's that action? If there's more than 2 actions, then or if there's more than one action, then it's a project. And you make a whole separate file. I'm not doing that since I'm only doing this for a day. Now, one of the things I do is he has a whole thing of, if it's 2 minutes or less, just do it. The problem is some of my 2-minute or less things are quick calls, and it's 6 a.m, so I can't call right now. So I am making that its own section, and I'm probably going to have more sections, but this is just the start. Dailies are habits I do every day, so I'm just adding that as a section. Okay, so this whole list became this whole list. Now, the next step, let me just turn the camera. Okay, so the next step is that I'm supposed to now organize those things. So put everything in the right spot. I'm looking at my notes. Sorry. Put everything in the right spot. Delegate what I can. There's literally nothing I can delegate. There are some things that could be put off to another day, but really to me, this next step is prioritizing and scheduling my day. So I am going to print off the 15-minute timer sheet that I like and put what I can in there. And then I'm going to do as many of the 2-minute activities as I can. I think technically, when you're doing the clarifying part of putting things in areas, if it's 2 minutes, you're supposed to do it then. but I wanted to get everything organized, and now I'll just power through as many 2-minute ones as possible. Okay, so this is my 15-minute planner. I put in the meetings I have or things I know I need to do, and then I added in some of the to-do things. But my issue is, as you can see, from like 1 p.m. on, the day is empty because one of the things that I need to call about today is the dentist. I have a filling that just got put in 2 weeks ago and hurts terribly, and I'm hoping they can see me today. So I have no clue when I'll get called in, so I don't want to waste time planning that and then not do it. So I'm prioritizing work things, and then we're just gonna power through and see what gets done. Okay, so ended up going to the dentist. This is how Tuesday went. I mean, let's look. A lot got crossed off. I will say the 2-minute thing is helpful. I did call the groomer. They never answered. I called 3 times, so that was a waste. A lot of things got crossed off. Now I'm gonna carry these things that are left over to today. Today is Eat That Frog. I'll explain that in a second. And I'll tell you my overall thoughts on GTD in a little bit, but let's talk Eat That Frog. So Eat That Frog, what everyone knows about it is you do the hardest thing first. That's what Eat That Frog means. Like, just do the hard thing. So that's what people know of it. When I went to, see, I got notes on everything. When I went to go look up, is there more than that? It's very similar to Get Things Done. It's like, determine your goals, write it down, list steps for achieving, turn steps into a plan, set a deadline, act. Like, okay, these are all good things for like yearly goals, monthly goals. There's still a way to do it during the day. I think the couple things that I'm gonna take away for today are do the hardest thing first, which I have a hard personal thing and a hard work thing. And then you're supposed to list your 3 most important things at work and get those done first. So that's what I'm gonna do. We'll see how today goes. Okay, so here's my list with my hard things, and then I've separated things out, and I even prioritize these. So hard things are first, work things are second, and then this one business thing like has to get done today. And then I did time block. This is how I like to calendar block. Spoiler, calendar blocking is tomorrow. We'll talk about what I like and don't. But part of his thing was schedule it. So his thing being Brian Tracy, creator of Eat That Frog. So this and this are not the same. We will see how many of these things can get done compared to time blocking, but I like both so that when there are free minutes, I can come back over here. Okay, so I just ate my first frog. Happy it's over. Like, very happy I got this thing off my plate. Started out super simple. I was like, oh my gosh, this took no time. Why was I putting it off? And then there was a complication. And then it took longer. But I am happy it's done. I don't have a ton of time to do the next thing in my top 3 before my job starts. But I'm going to use the 10 minutes I have and do what I can. We'll see. Okay, horrible lighting in this room, but here we are. So yesterday was Eat That Frog, meaning do the hardest thing first. It was helpful. I've completed 2.5 things that are like hard. I also felt exhausted for the rest of the day. Jury's out on that one. So today is time blocking. So let me show you that. Okay, so this is my list again of what's kind of going on. Also, it's June. I'll just tell you, it's June 1st. So I'm doing a no-buy in June, hopefully. So I have those sorts of things on there. Then to time block it, so this is a 15-minute day planner. This is actually my favorite time tool of all, like time management tool of all time. I found this when I was in grad school. I don't know if this company still even, or like this blog or whatever still even has this. It was completely free, but you could make this in Excel easily or Word. But essentially it blocks everything by 15 minutes because I have a lot of issues with time blocking. I'll talk about those in a more steady video that's not on my iPhone, or like later in this video, it's not filmed on my iPhone. But I have taken things from here and put them here, and like what I have to do when blocked out times that I know of. There are some breaks in here, like 30 minutes here, time here, where I don't, leaving space just because I know things will go over. But let me show you what I like more than time blocking, and it's time boxing. Okay, so I just discovered the other day that time boxing and time blocking are different things. People use them interchangeably, but time Boxing is a timing by a task. So I am now going to go through my to-do list and I'm going to put minutes by everything. And this is what I have found personally helps me more than blocking the time on the calendar. I think blocking time is really nice. I think people mess it up a lot. Again, I'll talk about that in a couple minutes or seconds for you. Because it gives you a nice visual to block the time, but life happens, things happen, etc. I want to know how much time each task takes, and that helps me in free moments to go, okay, I'll just do this next. Okay, I'll do this next. So I'm going to go through and block like right times next to everything. Okay, there's some more things I can't show, but essentially now everything has a time by it, even like making my AG1 5 minutes. I do this like little 2-minute ab thing. It's on there. Calling the groomer, 5 minutes. Like everything has a time, including like errands, a little over an hour. So it helps me know how much time I have. When I'm really obsessive about this, I will take all those times, add them up, and see how much time that will actually take in a full day. So like I'll add that up with the meetings, etc., and go, okay, this is 6.5 hours, which means if I do everything with no breaks, I'm done at 3:30 or 5 or whatever. It helps me see like, oh, is this doable or is it crazy to have this many things on a list? So that's my own way of doing it, but I'm going to try my hardest to like go with the time blocking method today. Okay, day 5 of productivity methods. It's Sunday. I will let you know Friday was a disaster. Wasn't going to even attempt one of these that day. Saturdays I don't work. So it's Sunday. Other than church, I'm doing work and things around the house today. So let me show you Kanban. Okay, so the Kanban system, if you've ever used Trello or Asana, Notion, they all go with this and they get way too complicated. The simplest is you have to do, and that's where you list all the things you have to do, doing, and then done. And I've actually already put 2 things. Put Kanban on the wall. Hey, I did it. So because time boxing works for me too, so I don't get overwhelmed by this, I did put like how long I think things will take. And so I will move them over as I do them. So next up, write a newsletter. I'm just not loving the hair today, y'all. It's very like circa 2008. I don't know. It's doing some weird stuff. Anyway. Okay, so let's recap. I have thoughts on each of these. I like some more than others, and I will tell you where I ended up, what I think works best for me. It's gonna be a bit of an amalgamation of a couple of these together. Who also just loves the word amalgamation? Just me? Also, my nose is running. Sorry, we're really, between the hair and the nose running, why am I filming right now? But here we are. Okay, so Eisenhower method. Now, I actually used to teach the Eisenhower method when I taught 7 Habits of Highly Effective College Students back as a professor. And this one I think gets misconstrued a lot of the time. It's not really supposed to be for productivity. It's for you to kind of see your priorities, but people use it for productivity all the time. I wanted to try it just to see if it would work. I think it's better for looking at your weekly tasks or when you're having a hard time trying to figure out what to do. Like, when I am very overwhelmed by my to-do list, I like to bust this out to go, okay, this is what has to get done and this is what has to go on the back burner. But also that zone 2, that not urgent but important, that's the zone where there are the things that actually will move the needle, but they don't have to be done today. They keep getting put off. You have to make sure you start scheduling those in. So I like it more to prioritize, but I don't think it's an overall productivity hack, even though people use it that way. Okay, GTD, get things done. I think I said this on the day, but GTD is insane if you actually do it to its full extent. There's like multiple file folders you're supposed to have. You're supposed to be constantly looking at it and you're spending more time planning than taking action in some ways, which honestly is already a downfall of mine. Like, I will write lists and categorize and time block and all that over and over and over again. It's like, you know what, you could have gotten 3 tasks done already if you just kind of let some of that go. So I will probably never adopt the whole get things done GTD system, but there are a couple of things that I did take away that I'm starting to incorporate again. Number 1, I like that you categorize by project and then put the to-dos of that project in a section. So even on just my to-do list for the day, I now put home, work, business, etc. I kind of already did that, but even like under business, I'll put video and then put edit, post, etc. So kind of categorizing down to put it into really bite-sized parts. Well, I was doing on some level, there was something about the way they did it that it did help to kind of break it down. Also just the idea of like, don't put everything under one big list helps you sort of see the different areas. And it helped me at the end of the day to go, wow, I keep ignoring the business category. Like all the home stuff's done, all the stuff for my job's done, and this keeps getting put to the wayside. So by segmenting it, it helped me see what's getting ignored and what I need to focus on. Then I do love the 2-minute task rule. Like if something can be done in 2 minutes, just do it right now. I will say I think there are a lot of things that a lot of us think can be done in 2 minutes, but actually are like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. And so I at least have started writing down a 2 to 5 minute section and will block a time of day to just knock out a bunch of those. It's crazy how productive it makes you feel because you get to cross off a bunch of things at once. Then the other thing I liked was I now on my to-do list have a capture section where there's something about assigning that area on the back of a page or in your notes on your phone that having a place to go, okay, these are all the other things I've thought of that I'll look at later, that I'll reevaluate at the end of the day and put on the next list. That was really helpful. So that section, it's weird how just titling something can be helpful because I used to jot notes anyway, but like calling it capture just sort of helped. And then the waiting on. So interestingly, I used to do this in my job. Like in my old job as a career specialist, when I would email somebody for something and was waiting on their response, I would note that and put like waiting on, this response, this thing, to know that yes, I've crossed off my piece, but the full project isn't done. And so I started adding that section back into my daily list to remember like, oh yeah, you did message that person, but we're waiting for their response. Or you did create that thing, but you're waiting on the reply, whatever. You get what I'm saying. So those were really helpful. I will be incorporating those 3 things. Eat that frog. So eat that frog, everyone just talks about it for do the hard thing first, but as I said on the day, it actually goes into like, what are your goals? What's 80% of your time and 20% of your time? Like the Pareto principle goes into a bunch of stuff. The things I took away were eating that frog is really helpful, but it can also deplete me for the rest of the day. And there are 2 interpretations of eat that frog. One that people use is do the hardest thing first, right? Okay, great. The other is do the thing that moves the needle first. So remember how I said, ooh, my business category kind of keeps getting pushed to the side? That's because some of it is stuff that I have to like sit down and think about more. And so I'm now trying to designate time in the morning to get those things done because they are needle movers for where I want to go. So really making sure that first thing in the morning, whatever's most important is getting my time that day. I do think there's something too of naming the most or like the hardest thing you have to do and scheduling the time for it. And I do think earlier is better because like for me, I don't like working out and I will schedule it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but our willpower dies throughout the day. Our discipline dies throughout the day. By the time 4 o'clock comes, I'm like, I'm not doing it. So I get both principles. I think both have benefit. I'm focusing more on the what's the most important thing to get done and doing that first thing. Okay, day 4, blocking time, calendar blocking, and then time boxing. So I used to be a huge calendar blocker. Grad school, it worked great for me. Even in jobs before, it worked great for me. But I have learned that there's still an amount of discipline that has to happen of like, let me put it this way. It's helpful to see on your calendar, okay, I've blocked time for these things. These are the things that can actually fit in my day. That's helpful. But there's still an amount of discipline of showing up at a certain time and going, and now I will switch gears and work on this thing. And did I block the time correctly? Oh, did that thing I thought would take an hour actually take an hour and a half? And did something come up and I have to jump into a meeting and then I feel like a failure because my calendar blocks didn't work out that day? I don't know. Sometimes it can feel a little too rigid for me, even if you leave blank time, even if you leave gap time, because things will shift around. I think it's helpful for visualization. I don't live and breathe by it, but I do love time boxing, which is, as I explained earlier, designating an amount of time to a specific task. So the other issue with calendar blocking that I see is people will just block like homework, but it needs to be like math homework, lesson 7 or whatever, or with clients I see, it'll be like job search. It's like, no, we need to put a specific task to that time. Are you working on your resume for that time? Are you writing a cover letter? Are you sending 5 outreach, messages? You have to get really specific. But as I said, sometimes I don't want to do that appointment at that time. So I just do the assigning the task an amount of time, and then I can kind of go through my list and check things off accordingly. So that's what really works for me, is to go, okay, I'm filming a video right now. It's going to take me about a half hour. So I designate 30 minutes. And then I add up, this is where I'm like maniacal. I will add up all the times and see like, is what I want to get done today feasible? If these things add up in time, like, did I just schedule 24 hours of things that I need to get done? Did I schedule 5 hours? Like, I'll look at that. So that has been really helpful for me. Also, that's just been really helpful because sometimes, something I thought would take 30 minutes took 20. And let's say I have a meeting in 10 minutes, right? I thought the half hour before the meeting was going to be taken up. Now I have 10 minutes left. I can look at that list and be like, okay, cool. There's a thing that takes 10 minutes. I'll cross that off. So it's just worked best for me. I would suggest trying that one. Like, that is the one I would start with. Okay, Kanban. Y'all, I did not think putting Post-its on a wall that said to do, doing, done would be that helpful, but the visualization, the visual representation of what I have to get done and watching those Post-its move from left to right was extremely helpful. And I will say, for me, if you've watched some of my other stuff or you talk with me on Instagram, I am a pen to paper girl. I am not a digital queen. I've used Trello. I use Asana for project management on things like this. But in terms of a to-do list, getting to move a digital card on Trello from to do to doing to done is not the same satisfaction as moving the Post-it note on the wall over there from one to the other to the next. So I will probably do that again. In fact, I might do that for the week ahead and put it's going to take a lot of Post-its, but I have a lot of Post-its to use up, in all honesty. I might take the whole week and put it on there and see where we end up. I also think just seeing it there is like a gamification of, oh, okay, I get to move one over, like, oh, I can't wait to like move this up. It's crazy how our mind works, but instead of fighting against it, just go with it. So if that makes you happy, like it makes me happy, just go with it. So what I would say is, I think there's really beneficial pieces of get things done, some pieces of it that I'm going to use. I am going to use Kanban again. I love the eat the frog element of like, what's the priority? Do that first. And then in a way, I like to go like, what's the thing that will make me satisfied at the end of the day if I can cross that off my list? That's the thing that needs to get done. And then Eisenhower, I think, is great for when you feel overwhelmed, to lay out that overwhelm and figure out what really needs to be handled now and what can be put aside. So that's where I ended up. Let me know if you want more of these sorts of videos. I can do it by, we chose productivity methods for a day each, but I'd love to do a week. I'd love to also just go through a bunch of productivity hacks like Pomodoro, and there's a 5-minute rule that I love, like some of those sorts of things. So let me know if you want more of this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.